those lights on, please. Hello. I'm having trouble with my computer again.
This one?
Oh, now it's writing. That's weird.
This one?
Yes, please. Woo! Right. That'll do. You don't have to do.
Okay.
It looks a little grainy to me. I don't know how it's going to look on the other end of it, but it looks grainy to me. I'm tired. I am tired. Good evening, everyone. Excuse me. I hope you got the notification that I was coming on live today. I am finding out, as are some other YouTubers, that some of you are getting unsubscribed from the channel and you're not doing it. And I'm not doing it. I'm just letting you know I'm not doing that. So you have to check from time to time. YouTube is kind of woke, whatever the word is this century. And so they've been doing that. They've been messing with a lot of our channels, unsubscribing people that they don't even know they've been unsubscribed. So you have to go back and check and make sure that you're still subscribed, and make sure you click the notification bell. Now, somebody told me that the notification bell disappeared. I don't know. I see it on my end. It's very deceptive what they're doing. I see it on my end. But I can't see it on your end, obviously. So you have to let me know. Anyway, make sure you sign in the chat box. Let me know where you're signaling from. We're going to get into a few things this evening. Let me get to my notes here because I want to make sure I cover some of the things that I want to cover. Oh my goodness. There's a lot going on. I found out a few things. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button too. Okay, it'll help keep me on, even though some of you can't see me for some weird unknown reason. I don't know what they're doing. I'm back at my RV, as you can tell. Those of you guys have been with me for a long time. I've been on here since, well, we have a couple of channels. My other channel that deals a lot with our backyard farm and all that. I have not posted anything to that in a while. I think the last thing I posted on that channel was Hi Fritz Shay, was last year. It may have been during the summer months when we were struggling like everybody else with our garden. So um so good evening. um I well, a couple of things have happened since you guys last saw me. um I ran in 2 elections and I won both. So that was interesting. It was very intense, and a lot of mental work went into it, and a lot of emotions went into it from all angles. I was hearing lots of different things, and have experienced a few things since then. But all in all, I believe God's will was done. So I am happy about that. A lot of prayer went into it, and a lot of listening to see what direction God wanted me to go. And I believe I've done that. So that's good. I'm going to try to keep you guys as updated as possible, like some other YouTubers that have a different audience than I do. as to what's going on. Now, I can't tell you everything that's going on because there's a lot going on, and I tend to be a little bit, I have a little variety, right? Like I'm not just focused on one thing. I'm not just focused on uh, preparing food or just politics or just health stuff. I try to do a mixture because I want to help as many people as I can in as many areas as I can, giving out as much information as I can without overwhelming anyone. My heater just came on and it's kind of loud, so I hope you guys can hear me. Can you hear me? Let me turn this thing up. I hope you can hear me. If you can hear me, please put a thumbs up in the chat box so that I know that you can. I find sometimes I have to disable a different program. Fritz Shay, can you hear me? I find that I have to disable one of the other programs because it'll try to steal my microphone and then people can't hear me. So, um, all right. So, what has been happening? Well, on the international stage, there's been a run on the banks in Nigeria. Hi, Sky. Thank you. There's been a run on the banks in Nigeria. Nigeria changed their money, and I guess they didn't tell the people that they were going to change the money. And so the people went to the bank when they found out to try to get their money out of the bank. If you've had any experience trying to get any large sum of money out of the bank, you know what a nightmare it can be and how threatening it can become. And they can literally threaten you if you try to get your money out. Well, they did that over there, and people really started robbing banks and stuff like that, to where the government had the police unleashed on the people and they started killing people. They just started shooting them live rounds to stop the people from pulling their money out of the bank. Most of the run was done on the central banks that are tied up with different, let's just say, ancient families, okay, that have been around for several hundred years, that have been controlling money and things like that. So that happened. Not a good thing. Um, in a couple of previous videos, I mentioned to you all how the central banks, the central bank was looking to roll out this new digital currency, and their objective is to have it online fully by this July 2023. So, my question to you, what I want you to think about is, what is your plan? Because I see what's happening in other countries and how that's being handled. I remember when the Dutch mark changed from the Dutch mark to the euro. I had just come back from my assignment in Germany when that happened. That same year that that happened, those people lost over half of their income because of the changeover of the money of the Dutch mark to the euro, and they lost half their money because it was in the bank. Now, I am not a financial advisor, but I got some common sense I'd like to share with you, if I can put it like that. I have been saying for the longest time, get your money out of the bank. Put it in tangible assets. Put it in something that will retain its value. Okay? I keep saying that because you may need to use it in the future if you want to safeguard against losing your entire retirement. Okay? Um, a lot of people have their money tied up in 401ks and stuff like this. And I said several years back, I was telling people, get your money out. And the biggest issue that people was having was they were going to take a big tax, uh, like a penalty or something, if they took their money out. And my thought was, here's my thought: had they done that, maybe not all of it, but the bulk of it, had they done that and took the tax hit, they could have put that money in something that was going to gain value over time or retain its value over time, and they would not have had such a loss, right? It would have been an initial loss, but over time they would have gotten it back, and it would have been a hedge around their finances and not wipe them out, because if the central bank takes it, it's gone, folks. You ain't getting it back. You're not getting it back. They're stealing from us right now, sending it overseas. I mean, by the billions and the trillions. They're just taking your tax dollars if you still work, and they're sending it overseas. So clearly, they don't care about your retirement. When you look at what happened in Canada, hi, Margaret. Hi, Chloe. If you look at what happened in Canada with the truckers and how they were exercising their constitutional right, um, well, they don't have what we call it a constitution. They call it a Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Um, how do I know that? Because I lived there for 10 years. But anyway, if you look at what happened there and how, when they were exercising their rights according to their Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the government came in, shut down the businesses of all the people that they knew participated or even just showed up. They might not have done anything with the truckers, they just were observing what was going on, and they were tracked. How were they tracked? By their phones, where they were that day. Anybody that who was in that grid square or whatever, their businesses were shut down. The police came in, poured sugar in their gas tanks of their trucks and all this kind of stuff. And some of them they put in prison because they wanted their children to go back to school, and they wanted to be able to go back to work, and they wanted to be done with the mandates. They said, we have to get back to our lives. We can't feed our families. We haven't been able to work. We can't do anything. We need to get back to our lives. We need to get back to our work. So they were doing a peaceful protest, and that's what happened to them. And they seized their bank accounts and took every dime they had. Now, if you think that these same people, because this was not a Canadian thing, folks. This are globalists who have control of the monetary system on this planet for the most part, that want to do that to everyone who does not want to fall in line with their plan. Okay. And their plan is for you to have a whole lot less than what you have now so that they can have a whole lot more than what they have now. And you become completely dependent upon them for your sustenance and to be able to survive and to keep your family safe. Okay. So, hi, JB. Um, and so I'm saying to you, think about where your money is. If you feel like you have to have it in a bank, you have to have it, um, because maybe you have a lot of automatic withdrawals and things coming out. There are other things you can do. There are still money orders. I know it's a pain in the butt. I know that some of us grew up where there wasn't all this online stuff. Okay, you had to go to the check cashing place. You had to get a money order or whatever, or go to the post office and get a money order and mail it. Right, that back in the day, that's what we had to do before all this technology that is really starting to enslave everybody came along. Right, it's the whole digital thing that's getting us in trouble now. Is digital good? It can be in the right hands of the right people. But when people are using digital access to your life to make you comply with what they want you to do, that's when it becomes a very evil thing. So I'm saying that you need to consider an alternative way to manage your funds. Okay. I'm telling you, because they're coming for us in July. And you want to make sure that you can safeguard what you own. you can safeguard your assets. And if you're still working, you want to be able to safeguard your retirement. Okay. So I'm just saying, if it was me, that's what I'd be doing. I'm just saying. So that's that. Watch your money. How long have I been saying watch your money? Now hold on, y'all, because it's let me get a cough drop because it is dry. Ooh, what is the temperature in here? Hold on, dude. Can you turn that heat down just a bit? Because it is dry and he's drying me out. Okay. Y'all still there? I'm gonna try not to lose my mind this session. I don't know what happens. I get on here and I just lose it. Oh my goodness. All right. You may have heard, you may have heard about Eugene, Oregon being the first city to ban gas stoves. Have you heard that one? Well, it's true. Um, they're not banning people from using them yet, but what they're doing, what they've done, if they've put some kind of a law in effect, or they're trying to, where any new builds, homes that they build new, will not be plumbed for gas lines. So they want to push everybody into this electric. What would that do to the price of electric? First of all, our grid can't even take it when a power line goes down. So can you imagine if they try to put everybody on electric going forward, everybody? The demand would be so ridiculous that the price would be even more ridiculous. And nobody would be able to afford it anyway, unless you were in a very high tax bracket. And so, what does that do to people that are working poor, that are low income, that are middle class, um, that are having a hard time dealing with the utilities right now? And things ain't cheap in Oregon or California or any of these other real liberal places. It's just not. It's ridiculously expensive because those governors and those mayors, they just find more ways to ravage your income. They find more ways to take money from you and give it to illegal, illegals. You know what? You'll find out when you go on YouTube. Those of us that are like talking about what I'm talking about right now, we have to talk crazy. It's like because we want to reach as many people as we can, so we got to kind of talk kind of crazy, right? But if you've been around any period of time, you know what we're talking about. All right, so just bear with me. Anyway, yeah, so they're banning gas stoves. So I imagine there won't be any gas fireplaces going into these new homes. I guess you just got to get an electric fireplace if you want one because your stove's going to be electric. Everything's going to be electric if you're going to do a new build in the future. That is crazy. Okay, so Chloe says we are experiencing massive electricity outages right now in Michigan because of bad weather. Right now, let me listen. Come here. Let me tell you. Seeing as there's a lot of saber rattling going on, and all the nations of the world are in an uproar, and everybody's mad at Russia. Russia's mad at everybody else. What if? Now, Chloe says they're having electrical outages right now because of weather, which can also be manipulated. Weather wars, okay? If you think that ain't happening, you're wrong. Look up HARP, HAARP. Just Google it. Look it up and read about that. It's a thing and it's a real thing, okay? They can manipulate the weather. And they can use it for good. If there's a drought, they can try to do whatever they do up there in the atmosphere to try to bring uh, precipitation and humidity into the air to make it rain. But let's just say you take that same instrument and you're mad at another country, so you want to hit their crops by drying up the air over them, over that country. Okay, we've seen this happen in states right here in the United States. Okay, so I'm just saying, look it up. HAARP. Look it up, and you will see this is not a conspiracy theory. This is a fact. This is something that they have been able to do for a long time now. So, anyway, what was I about to say? Oh, the electricity. Let's just say, let's just say somebody got really ticked off with us, right? And decided they were going to tamper with our electrical grid, our electrical infrastructure. Let's just say there was some kind of a, I don't know, electrical magnetic pulse or something that happened that caused all of our electricity, everything that's electric, to go out. What happens if that happens in the winter and the only source of power you have because of this new law and the new Green Deal is electric? And now you don't have that, and it's the dead of winter. How you going to keep yourself warm? What happens if you're living in an apartment and that happens in an apartment building? Does anybody remember a few years back in New York? It was so cold and they had such a bad storm that the power went out and people literally froze to death in their apartments and in their homes. Anybody remember that? Because I do. But they want everybody to go electric. Okay. So, now, if you take a step back, and if you have any confidence in these people who are supposed to be leading the country and the world, if you have any confidence in them, which I don't, you would think that perhaps they just hadn't thought it through. Okay. I'm here to tell you they thought it through. They have thought it all through. It looks so ridiculous on the surface that you would think these people are incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. Let me tell you, they know exactly what they're doing. They're hoping that you never catch on to what they're doing so that they can keep doing it. And then by the time it hits your doorstep, you're like, oh, and they're like, so? All right, let me catch you up on something else that's going on. In Iowa, I was sharing this with another group the other day. In our state, we have what we call house bills. When you're trying to push laws through the House or the Senate or whatever, we call a House bill or Senate bill. In Iowa, they call it House file, right? So in Iowa, they are about to ban food stamp recipients from being able to purchase meat on their food stamps or EBTs or EPTs or whatever it's called now. Um, and there are 41 million people on food stamps in the United States. 41 million people. And I got this statistic about 2 weeks back. So it might be more now. 41 million people getting food assistance or are living in a state of food insecurity. And now, because those people, and you may be one of them, are dependent upon that for your sustenance, now they want to tell you what you can and cannot eat. See, before it didn't matter. As long as it was a food item, you could buy it, right? But now they want to tell you what you can eat and what you can't eat. Now, if you go back and you think about when all of this kind of came to the forefront, it just seems to me like the whole pandemic was the Trojan horse to bring in it was the excuse to launch all this other stuff that's going on now, because the world didn't get turned upside down until it was intentionally turned upside down through some unknown pathogen, okay, which they knew about because they grew it in a lab. But anyway, the known unknown. So you have all these people that are suffering from food insecurity right now, and it's going to be more people because in this first quarter, Bed Bath and Beyond, Walmart, Costco, Sam's Club, all of these huge stores that were able to stay open the whole time. The bars could stay open, these big box stores could stay open, but the mom and pop shops, they had to close or they was going to go to jail or be fined or whatever if they kept their doors open because I guess it's a smart virus. It would know not to go to Sam's, but it would come into your little hoagie shop, or it would come into your sandwich shop, but it wouldn't go to Walmart, that virus. It wouldn't go to Walmart. So anyway, all of these people that are going to lose their jobs this quarter because these stores, these corporations have already put out a notice that they are laying off people by the thousands. Okay, this is happening. It is happening. It's not something that they're talking about. This is what they are doing. They've already put the notice out and they are doing it. CVS, what was the other one? I'll read it to you. But anyway, so all these people are going to be suffering from food insecurity. I think the latest statistic that I saw said that 63%, and it's rising, of Americans are living on their credit cards. And they are starting to max them out because they don't have work. They've been laid off, or they do have work, but they haven't gotten a raise. So their wages have not kept up with the rate of inflation, right? And so they're having to use their credit cards to make ends meet. And the ends are starting to not meet because they're running out of credit. The next problem is going to be they can't pay back this money that they're running up on their credit cards. They can't pay it back. They have no way to pay it back because they, number one, either lost their job. Number two, they're not getting raised if they do have a job. And number three, it's not keeping up with the rate of inflation, whatever money they're bringing in. And so there was a time where if you weren't making enough, quite enough, you could go and you could get another side job somewhere. You could get a part-time job somewhere and you'd be okay. You might not be able to go on this big extravagant vacation, right? But you could have the occasional steak. You could go out to a movie, or you could go out and have a steak dinner with your family or whatever. Maybe not all the time, but at least you had that much left over. People don't have anything left over now. Most people don't. Some people have been some people have been blessed to have seen this coming for a long time and started preparing a long time ago. And if you are one of those people, then you are way ahead of the game. Look at the price of gasoline, look at the price of milk, look at the price of eggs. And let me tell you, there's a shortage of eggs. And people are saying, why are eggs so expensive? Why is there such a shortage? You remember all the birds that they slaughtered that they said had the bird flu? Well, who you going to believe? Because I'm telling you, the governments around the world have been lying to their citizens for months, okay? Months about what's going on. If the food is so contaminated, why are they sending it overseas? To help the war effort. I mean, come on, folks. I mean, come on. They try to gaslight you because I already know. Okay, there are some of us who already know what they're doing. But like I said, if you have been preparing for a long time against hard times, you're in much better shape than someone who hasn't done anything, who said, oh, you're just a doomsday prepper. Or you call it whatever you want. I call it, I'm in the club not hungry. Okay, that's what I call it. I call it We ain't hungry. That's what I call it. And we're not going to be. That's what I call that. You call it whatever you want and be stupid if you want to. God bless you and your stupidity. I'm not in that club. So, anyway, um, and let me put out a disclaimer. I like to do this on my channel because number one, it's my channel. And number two, I don't really care how you feel about it. So here's my disclaimer. My disclaimer is this conversation is for mature audiences only. If you find your knickers getting in a twist because you can't handle what I'm saying, please go find Sesame Street. This is not the place for you. Amen. Now, moving on. Chloe says a lot of businesses here are installing solar. That's good. That's a good alternative as long as they understand that the sun ain't always shining. And when the government can manipulate the weather and can make sure that it's overcast, yeah, I mean, it'll still charge, but it's going to take a while. You know, it'll take a while, but it'll still charge. But I think that's a good option, depending on, what it is they're trying to do. But again, it doesn't just have to be businesses that are taking these extra precautions, because you know why the businesses are doing that? Because they won't be able to stay in business if they have to keep paying these ridiculous prices for electricity. Now, again, like him or hate him, things were much better under the last administration. There were more jobs than there were people. Best economy in the history of this country was just 2 years ago. And in just 2 years, we have come into a complete train wreck because somebody couldn't handle a tweet. Okay. Somebody couldn't handle the president of the United States having his own opinion and expressing himself under his constitutional right to say what he wanted to say, whether it sounded stupid or not, just like you. So here we are because some people just couldn't handle a tweet. Anyway, congratulations. You got what you voted for. So, on another note, now let me get back to that for a second. Get back to the food thing. It's getting ready to get very, 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 very serious for some people. Very serious. And I mean, when people are hungry and they're desperate, they resort to some things that they would not normally do. It wouldn't cross their mind to do it. And so you need to be careful. You need to be careful when you go shopping, especially women that are on this channel. I'm telling you, be careful. They will rob you. They will follow you to your car, or they will watch you as you're going to your car, especially if you're doing it at night. And they will rob you, and they will take what you have, and they'll hurt you. Okay. So I'm saying you need to keep your head on a swivel. If you can afford it, if you know someone who can help you with it, you need to look into self-defense classes. Okay. I'm telling you, because when you have people that's getting ready to get laid off by the thousands, and our borders are wide open, and the drugs are pouring in, and the human trafficking is pouring in, and all this stuff is pouring in, but everybody's attention is overseas somewhere. I keep telling you, this government does not care about you. And when you see this going on in other countries around the world, you can understand and believe when I tell you that there is a confederation of nations together that are working from a playbook, and they're having a big party, and you're not invited. Okay. They're not taking care of you, and they don't intend to. So if you are one of those people that that are in a position, or have found yourself in a position where you lost work, or maybe you have a disability, or whatever the reason is, where you have found yourself to be almost at the mercy of the government, I want you to invest some time and some energy into becoming more self-reliant. Now, what does that mean? That means that if at all possible, you can learn how to grow your own stuff, as much stuff as you possibly can. Now, I just had a session on this the other night with a group of people, and I had a lady come in, and do a demonstration on how to build your own soil, how to make your own compost, even if you're living in an apartment or a condo or a very restricted area like that, so that you can even grow stuff in a container if you need to. Is it going to sustain you? A little, not very much. I mean, but it's something. It's better than nothing. Maybe you can trade it for something else that someone else has that you're going to need. But I'm telling you, folks, if you're in a position where you are completely dependent upon the government to take care of you, well, how you like the job they're doing right now? Okay, because I've been around a while and I ain't never seen nothing like what I'm looking at right now. I just ain't never seen nothing like this. My first thought was these people are absolutely stupid. And then I thought, nope, they're crazy. And then I thought, nope, it's all on purpose. They're doing it on purpose. So there you go. So the next thing I wanted to tell you was the World Health Organization has put out a message to the nations that they need to stockpile medication. Now, why is that? There's a couple reasons. Number one, and I did a video about this too several months ago, last year, I think it was. I told you all that most of our medication comes from China and from India. And I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I want you to think about this. If we're not in a good relationship with China or India right now, and we're getting stuff like life-saving medications from them, this that goes beyond letting the fox in the hen house. Okay, that's like that's like okay. Just picture this: here you are in the bed, incapacitated, and your arch enemy volunteers to make you some soup, and you know that this person is really ticked off with you, or hates you, or wants what you have. Would you eat the soup? Would you? Okay. Said all that to say this: invest in books, get some books, because if they decide to turn out the lights like they have in where is it that they turned the lights out in Michigan, you're still going to need medicine. You're still going to have to know how to make some things and do some things on your own. You know, I tell you what, I think some of the most ignorant people in the world are people who do not understand what is happening in the world right now. And not because they don't understand it, but because they don't want to know. They don't want to know. They don't want to be out on what they call the fringes. Okay, somebody said that to me. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it, couldn't believe it. That person actually said to me, I don't go out on the fringes. And I'm thinking to myself, right. All right. Well, you just hang around in the middle or wherever you're hanging at. And I'll wave at you when you're in the soup line. But anyway, you need medication. You're going to need medication. Now, for a while now, for several months now, there have been this shortage of medication for babies, Tylenol and Motrin, infant stuff, formula, things like that, that babies need, children need when they get fever or whatever. And there wasn't any. Where was it going? How come there wasn't any? Okay. I have my theories, but I ain't even. I'm not even. Okay. Just start putting the pieces together and look at why is all this happening? Anybody ever heard of the Great Reset? Okay. See, when you have this cabal of psychopaths that have a God complex, they got some kind of a weird thing where they feel like they're the ones in control. You're stupid. You don't know what you need. And if you think you know what you need or what you want, I'm here to tell you that's not what you need and that's not what you want. I heard a newscaster say, I think she was on CNN, which God help you if you're still watching them. But this was a long time ago. She stood on the national platform and said, it is our job to tell you what to think. I saw it and heard it with my own eyes. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And then I run into this waitress in a restaurant, and she says to me, "Oh, thank God for CNN." And I said, "You're what's wrong with this country. Okay, you are what's wrong with this country." Anyway, so if you don't trust the medicine, then you need to find an alternative, a natural alternative. If you can, learn how to make your own or secure it from a reputable place. Um, Consult with a holistic doctor if you can do that, and find out what is an alternative to a medication that I may be taking right now, right? Say if you're taking something for high blood pressure, um, find out what's an alternative to what you may be taking right now. What else can I take? What natural thing can I do? Or maybe it's a combination of two or three natural things that you could do that would do the same thing in regard to your blood pressure, but without the side effects of the synthetic drug, right? So you may have to combine a couple of things, um, whatever, to make sure that you stay as healthy as possible, and that when you're prescribed a medication that comes from God knows where, that you're not taking poison into your system. Because I tell you, it's never mind. I almost scare you. I'm just saying. Okay. So the World Health Organization is telling these different countries to make sure that they stockpile medication and get this, prepare for nuclear war. So how does a person do that unless you have a bunker that's 2 miles underground, or you're living out in outer space somewhere in the space station? How does one prepare for nuclear war? Good luck with that. Okay. So this is where we are. There's going to be more of a shortage of medication. Walmart plans to reduce their pharmacy hours, closing at 7 p.m. at over 2,000 locations nationwide. Okay, so I don't know if that's going to affect your store or not. We have two superstores in our city, and they've already reduced our hours. So, at least at one of the stores, I know. Why are they doing that? Because they have a shortage of pharmacists. It's a shortage. Um, people have gone into this place psychologically and economically where it's not worth their time to go to work. It costs them money to go to work. It costs them. If they're not making ends meet and they're working every day, 40-hour shifts, 50-hour, 60-hour shifts, and they still can't make ends meet, they're literally working for free. They're working to give their money away to all of these corporations, to all of these companies, whether it's utility companies or the food, Walmart or Costco, wherever you shop, gas, all of your money, everything that you're working for is going to other people. They're literally stealing your labor. I'm just saying. So CVS says they're going to be reducing their hours starting this month. And then there's this thing that keeps happening with chickens and turkeys. And now the air is toxic because of all of these train derailments that keep happening, polluting the water. It has taken the president over 3 weeks to go down there and see what the heck is going on. It has taken FEMA and other emergency agencies 3 weeks to go down there and help those people. But and all they're talking about is Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. Um, you got to have a real deep hatred for your citizens to let them suffer like that, and you're sending their money that they've worked for to some other country to support a war that we have nothing to do with. Let that hit you, because you need to understand that this government hates you. Okay, they hate you. Now let me just say this: our country has been guilty of going into other countries and raping them of their resources and trying to turn them into little United States, and forcing them to do things that they did not want to do, and causing the overthrow of other governments and all this. We have been guilty of doing that stuff. And now the chickens are coming home to roost. You have these different countries, smaller countries, that are starting to band together saying, we are sick of the West. We are tired of you. We're tired of you coming in here, causing all these wars, running us off our land, stealing our diamonds, taking blood diamonds, taking our money, taking our land, taking our gold mines and all this kind of stuff, leaving our country in a like a wasteland, Haiti, okay, Clinton Foundation, and all this, and think you can just continue to do this and it not come back to haunt you. So I believe that some of what we're experiencing right now is because of that. But I also believe that some of it is because of jealousy, because we were the breadbasket of the world. We still are. So much food and stuff is going out of the country over to other places, and what's not getting sent to other places is being destroyed right in front of our eyes. All of these food distribution centers that burned down. Remember that last year? Remember that was happening? Over 100 burned down, or something happened to them where it caused a shortage. And then you have these ignorant individuals saying, there ain't no shortage. Well, honey, if it ain't came to you yet, keep living. It's coming, okay? Because people cannot stock on the shelves what didn't come out of the field. And a lot of stuff didn't come out of the field for two reasons. Number one, all of the shutdowns. No equipment was out there working the fields. Number two, the weather, okay? The weather, the extreme heat that caused constant crop failure and stuff like that. The train wrecks that are going on, polluting the air, polluting the water. Those people, they can't live there. They are absolutely without a place to go unless they had a second home somewhere, or unless they have family or friends that are able to take them in. They can't live there. They cannot live there. You can't drink the water now. The groundwater is contaminated. You can't eat the food. You can't plant anything. Nothing. That place is a wasteland. They can't do anything with it. It's terrible what has happened to these people. And the government took them 3 weeks to get there. But then they get mad because the last administration went down there, took water, clean water, from their own resources by the palletfuls, took it down there to that town to try to help people, paid for a lot of their meals and stuff, brought food to them. And they had the audacity to get on the legacy media and try to say it was a photo op. Do you think those people care about whether the man came to take a picture or not? He brought them food, he brought them water, he took care of the people. Whereas the administration that is supposed to be guarding the country and watching after its own citizens did nothing except send everything over to some other country. Weigh it for yourself, honey. That used to be a commercial. I know I'm dating myself. Anyway. In Seattle, Washington, this happened in January. Okay, so they're still reeling from this. 2.5 million pounds of meat that came in the cans, like the luncheon meat, Spam, stuff like that, that was processed between December the 12th and January the 13th, was being recalled. They gave the number. They said the number on the can would be P4247, which would be the plant number that it came from. And they said that the brands included Armor, Goya, Grace, Great Value, Harris House, Kroger, and Prairie Belt brands. They're recalling it. Now, the reason I'm laughing is because I went to school for food, sanitation, and safety. Okay. I went to school for it, graduated, had honors, did real good. Thought I was going to open a restaurant. Then I decided I was tired of cooking and I only want to do it or prepare food or get real creative with meals and all that when I felt like it. Not if I had to, because people were dependent on me to open my business that morning. No thanks. Anyway, went to school for it. And these knuckleheads put out a statement to the public that the reason that they were recalling all this meat was because the seals on the cans were compromised. Let me tell you. First of all, it doesn't work like that. If there's a seal on the can that's compromised, there's going to be some kind of residue on the outside of that can because the can will ooze. It will leak. If the food in the can is no good, it will bulge. It will begin to grow bacteria and start forming gases, and the can will start to swell and expand. Okay. I will bet you anything that a whole lot of people went through their pantry, gathered up all their food, and sent it back. Took it back to the store. They're trying to starve you, and they're using you to do it. It's unreal. It's unreal. And I had this conversation with some other people that were in the food service industry, and they said, "Yeah, it doesn't work like that." Yeah, we know it doesn't work like that. But people that haven't gone to school for that don't know any better, will say, "Oh my God, they did a recall on this." Where'd they send your food to? Did you ever think about that? Because there's a shortage of chicken and stuff because they killed all the birds. And then if you think about the black Angus cows and stuff, so there was a shortage of beef, and the beef that's out there is very expensive. So we'll just take it from the peasants. We'll take it off the shelf of Dollar Tree or Dollar General or wherever you were getting it from, Walmart. We'll just pull it all back and we'll put it down into our bunkers, or we'll send it over to Ukraine, whatever, because the seals are compromised. Yeah, right. Okay. Um, folks, look, I'm telling you, what's your plan? That's what this is called. What is your plan? What is your plan if you get laid off of your job? What is your plan? I'm telling people, if you work for any of these organizations, any of these corporations, if your babies do, your kids, your grandkids, your great grand, well, your great grands probably not, but your grandkids work for any of these organizations or these corporations, they are getting ready to lay off people by the thousands in this first quarter. And you and your family need to be planning as if your next paycheck is your last paycheck. Okay. You need to sit down, look at your finances, and restructure. You need to restructure. Whenever you go to the store and you go to shop, you need to pick up an extra can of something because the prices are going to keep going up. They're going to keep going up. What they want to do is they want to put you in a position where you absolutely cannot afford to buy food. It's not that there won't be food, is that it will either not be wholesome or you will not be able to afford it. So you will be at the mercy of whatever it is they want you to eat. And we had a conversation before about how they are adding cricket powder and stuff like this to the food. Now, I said, eating bugs is not a new thing. I mean, John the Baptist ate locusts, grasshoppers, right? This is not a new thing. In some countries, it is a delicacy. In other countries, it is a staple. You go to Asia, they eat anything, everything. I mean, they don't waste anything. And In other countries, they don't waste anything. The things that the Western nations have turned their nose up to, they embrace it in other countries. It just has not been part of our culture. We haven't been raised that way. So to us, it's like, oh, to me, it's like, oh, as long as I'm able to eat vegetables and meat, I will do that. I will not eat bugs, not if I not knowingly. Now, is anything wrong with that? No, not if that's what you want to do. But that I don't have a taste for that. No, thank you. Just like some people refuse to eat meat, I refuse to eat bugs. I'm not going to knowingly do that because I don't want to. So, but what they want to do is they want to get you in a position where you are absolutely dependent upon them. And I'm trying to teach people and encourage people to be more self reliant and to be more reliant upon God to be your provider and not the government. Because the government clearly can't stand you. Okay. So you don't want to, you're going to have to choose whose hands you're going to put your life in, the government or God's. I don't have to think about it. I already know where I stand. Okay. But you may need to have that conversation with yourself or your family. Who are you going to trust with your life, the government or God? And if you don't believe in them, this is a good time to start. This is a good time to start because I don't know who else is coming to help you. Anyway, I did not go over everything that I have here um, because it's so much. Every day there's something else. Every single day there is something else going on. And, I spend a lot of time researching things and watching newsreels and listening to podcasts and, trying to filter through the BS that can come from all kinds of areas, right? And so I sift through and I compare things and then I decide what I'm going to take to the people that trust me. Um, and I want to bring you accurate information. But my biggest thing is to help you to be able to not feel the crushing blow of what is happening in our society right now. They are going after our children. They're trying to destroy the innocence of our children. They're trafficking children across the line. The borders are open. They're destroying the hotels with migrants whose customs and culture does not mix with ours. Now, does that mean they're bad people? No. What it means is when I was in the military and I had to go live in another country, one of the first things they did was taught us how not to offend that nation, what not to do, so that we did not become an international incident or become an embarrassment to our country. When we went into another country, we needed to know how to use their facilities. They showed us this stuff, how to if you were invited into a national's home, what to do, what not to do, how to greet them, what not to say, things like that. These people aren't doing that. They're just being told, come on, come on. And then the government pays off these hotels to put all of these migrants in these hotels, and they don't know our custom. They don't know our culture. So a lot of them just live in ways that our parents would slap us for. I mean, we'd still be on punishment 50 years later for acting like that. Whereas maybe it was a thing where they came from, but it's not the custom here. And they're not being taught. You don't do that here. In this country, this is what you do. You came to this country to get away from whatever it is you left. So don't bring those habits and those customs here because they won't work here. They are diametrically opposed to one another. Are all of them? No. But sanitation and things like that could be a problem. That could be a problem. So this is where we are, folks. And I want you to make a plan. Sit down with your family, have a conversation, watch your money. Watch your money. Get as much money as you can out of the banking system and turn it into tangible assets. Do that because something that you can trade later or whatever. Because when they come for your account, they're not going to tell you. They're not going to warn you. You're just going to wake up one day and either half of it will be gone or all of it will be gone or most of it will be gone. And then you're really in a pickle, right? Talk to your family. Make amends where you have to because you may have to move in with someone or they may have to move in with you to make ends meet. Okay, to just to try to make it, right? Keep that in mind. Um, I care about you. I appreciate you coming on this evening. You didn't have to, you could have been anywhere else, but you're here watching me lose my mind one more time. So I am going to be getting back to hopefully doing things on my other channel, the Christopats. If you go into the upper right hand corner of this main channel's page, you'll see a little icon up there that you can click on. And that last video is it's old. It's like from the spring or the summer of last year. Um, I'm going to try to start putting some stuff up on there. Just to get a break from this. This used to be a hair channel. All I used to talk about on here was natural hair. I don't think anybody cares anymore. I think people are. I think people are struggling with more things than split ends, right? So I'm going to be talking about things that I feel are life saving, life changing, and more relevant than split ends and natural hair. So anyway, you know what to do. You know what to do. Keep them ends trimmed and keep it clean, keep your scalp clean. You know the drill. Anyway, thank you guys for coming on. And I do hope and I really need you to share this channel because they are squashing us. They're trying to silence us, they're shadow banning us, they're limiting our access. And the only way that people will know about my channel and other people's channel is if you share it. You got to do the thumbs up thing. You have to leave a comment. That's what keeps us that keeps the algorithm rolling us forward, because if they don't see any activity or anything, you just disappear. You just disappear, and they don't have a problem making us disappear. So please share the channel. And please put a thumbs up. I know some of you did not because I see how many people are on here and I see how many thumbs up there are, and the numbers ain't matching. So if you are on this channel and you have watched this video or this live broadcast, please put a thumbs up. Remember to do that. Any channel you go to, not just mine, but if there's another channel that you've been watching on a regular basis, help them out by giving them a thumbs up. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. And share their information, right? Because some people that are on YouTube, this is their job. This is what they do. And if they don't make the money, they can't make ends meet either. And it doesn't cost you anything to give them a thumbs up or to leave a comment, good broadcast, something, do something to help them stay visible. And I'm asking you to do the same thing for me. So this is not my job. Thank God. This is not my job. I do not depend on YouTube or Google to pay me. This ain't my job, folks. Okay. I would starve to death if I waited for them to pay me anything for anything. So I don't. This is not my job. Anyway, thank you for coming on. Um, take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Don't put your head in the sand. I know it's overwhelming. It can be. But we are where we are, and we have to deal with what we have to deal with right now, and we will get through this together. Um, by encouraging one another, by helping each other, by sharing your skills and your talents with others, and trusting God to do what you cannot do. It's like I tell people, just trust God to put his super to your natural, and we'll be okay. All right. So the governments are going nuts. They can go by themselves. I ain't going crazy. Okay. They can go by themselves. Anyway, I will see you guys the next time I come on. Share the channel, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. Watch your finances. Okay, just watch your finances. Talk with your family. Come up with a plan. And I'll see you the next time I come on. God bless you. Have a good night, folks.